48 hours ago, the United States and Israel launched the largest joint military operation the Middle East has seen since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The Pentagon called it Operation Epic Fury. Israel called it Operation Roaring Lion. Together, they obliterated over 1,000 Iranian military targets in just 24 hours. Tomahawk cruise missiles fired from destroyers in the Persian Gulf. B-2 stealth bombers from undisclosed locations. HIMARS rocket systems. Swarms of attack drones darkening the skies over Tehran, Isfahan, and Shiraz. The firepower was staggering, but what followed was even greater. On March 1st, Iranian state television confirmed what the world had feared. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was dead, killed, in a precision strike on his compound in downtown Tehran. Iran declared 40 days of national mourning. But mourning quickly turned to rage. Within hours, Iran launched a barrage of ballistic missiles at Israel. 3 United States service members were killed in action. 5 more were seriously wounded. What unfolded in those 48 hours set off 5 chains. Reactions now shaking the global economy, redrawing alliances, and pushing the world closer to a wider war than at any point this century. To understand the scale of what just happened, you need the backstory. This did not start 48 hours ago. In June 2025, the United States carried out Operation Midnight Hammer, the first direct American military strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. The targets were Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, 3 sites at the heart of Iran's uranium enrichment program. A fragile ceasefire followed, but it collapsed within months. By early 2026, intelligence confirmed Iran was rapidly rebuilding its enrichment capacity, and Western analysts feared a nuclear breakout was imminent. That triggered the decision to strike again, this time with overwhelming force. CSIS analysts confirmed that Operation Epic Fury decimated all 3 nuclear facilities, setting Iran's nuclear program back by years. But this conflict extends far beyond nuclear weapons. Iran holds the world's 4th largest proven oil reserves, roughly 9 to 10% of the global total. It produces 3.3 million barrels of crude oil per day, accounting for about 4.5% of global supply. Every barrel that stops flowing from Iran sends shockwaves through energy markets worldwide. This is simultaneously a military conflict, an energy war, and an economic crisis, and all 3 dimensions detonated at the same time. Chain reaction number 1, human casualties and military retaliation, on a scale not seen in decades. On March 1st, Iranian state television broadcast the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The country erupted. 40 days of national mourning were declared, but on the streets of Tehran, grief transformed into fury within hours. Iran's Revolutionary Guard launched a volley of ballistic missiles directly at Israeli territory. One struck the city of Beit Shemesh, just 30 kilometers from Jerusalem. 9 civilians were killed instantly. 27 more were wounded, many pulled from the rubble of collapsed apartment buildings. It was the single deadliest missile strike on Israeli soil since the conflict began. The Israeli ambulance service described scenes of devastation that shocked even seasoned first responders. Inside Iran, the toll was far heavier. At least 200 Iranians were killed in the initial waves of strikes, and more than 700 were wounded. Hospitals in Tehran and Isfahan reported being overwhelmed. Then came the third front. Hezbollah opened fire from southern Lebanon, launching rockets into northern Israel and prompting immediate Israeli counterstrikes across the border. 3 simultaneous war fronts are now burning at the same time. The death toll on all sides continues to climb by the hour. Chain reaction number 2, a global oil shock that is already hitting your wallet. Within hours of the first explosions over Tehran, Brent crude oil surged between 10 and 13%, smashing past $92 a barrel. Goldman Sachs immediately slapped an $18 per barrel risk premium onto its forecast. Analysts at Reuters and CNBC warned that if this conflict drags on, even a few more weeks, prices could breach the $100 mark for the first time since 2022. The reason is geography. Every single day, approximately 20 million barrels of oil pass through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow choke point between Iran and Oman that carries roughly 20% of the entire world's oil supply. Iran has repeatedly threatened to shut it down, If even a small fraction of that flow is disrupted, the consequences cascade instantly. Gasoline prices spike at every pump, jet fuel. Costs soar, shipping rates explode, and the cost of everything, from food to electronics, climbs with them. Central banks that were preparing to cut interest rates are now frozen, watching inflation indicators flash red again. The specter of stagflation, rising prices combined with slowing growth, has returned to economic forecasts worldwide. This is not a distant war. It is already repricing the global economy in real time. Chain reaction number 3. The skies over the Middle East went completely silent. Within minutes of the first strikes, 8 countries simultaneously closed their airspace to all civilian aircraft. Iran, Israel, Iraq, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Syria, and parts of Lebanon became no-fly zones overnight. Dubai International Airport, the single busiest hub for international air passengers on the planet, shut down completely. Not a single commercial flight departed or arrived. Doha's Hamad International and Abu Dhabi International followed within the hour. Major carriers including Emirates, Qatar Airways, Etihad, British Airways, Singapore Airlines, and Air India suspended every regional route without a clear timeline for resumption. In the first 48 hours alone, more than 1,800 flights were canceled across the region. The impact extends far beyond inconvenience. Cargo shipments carrying medical supplies, electronics, and perishable goods sat grounded on tarmacs. Humanitarian aid flights to Yemen, Sudan, and Somalia were suspended indefinitely. Millions of stranded passengers filled terminal floors from Heathrow to Changi. Aviation analysts estimate that every additional day of closure costs the global airline industry hundreds of millions of dollars. And right now, no government can say when these skies will reopen. Chain reaction number 4. Global financial markets entered freefall. When trading opened on March 1st, stock futures across the United States, Europe, and Asia plunged simultaneously. The S&P 500 dropped sharply before the opening bell even rang. The FTSE in London and the Nikkei in Tokyo opened deep in the red. Investors around the world executed the same playbook at the same time. Dump risk assets, buy safety. Gold prices surged to near-record levels. The United States dollar strengthened as capital flooded into Treasury bonds. Bloomberg described it as a full-scale defensive rotation, a flight to safety not seen since the early days of the pandemic. Yahoo Finance reported that Wall Street has officially entered what strategists are calling a haven-first era. But the deeper fear is what comes next. JP Morgan currently assigns a 35% probability that both the United States and the global economy will tip into recession before the end of 2026. The New York Federal Reserve's own model places that figure at 20.4%. Now layer on an oil shock, fractured supply chains, surging shipping costs, and the growing threat of stagflation. Those recession probabilities are climbing with every passing hour. The markets are not just reacting to a war. They are pricing in a potential global economic crisis. Chain reaction number 5. The question that no analyst, no general, and no president can answer yet. Will this spiral into a full-scale regional war that engulfs the entire Middle East? President Trump stated publicly that the operation would last at minimum 4 weeks, suggesting this is far from over. Hezbollah is already launching rockets from Lebanon into northern Israel on a daily basis. Iran has vowed massive further retaliation and activated proxy forces across the region. 3 separate war fronts are now active simultaneously with no ceasefire in sight. Consider what 48 hours did to the world. Over 1,000 military targets destroyed across Iran. The Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic killed. 9 civilians dead in Beit Shemesh from a single ballistic missile. Crude oil past $92 a barrel and climbing. 8 nations' airspace shut down. More than 1,800 flights grounded. Global stock markets in retreat. Gold at near-record highs. And this is only day 3. The chain reactions are not slowing down. They are accelerating. Every hour brings new strikes, new casualties, and new economic shockwaves. What happens in the next 48 hours may define the trajectory of global security and the world economy for years to come.